We like I remember being a kid and they all like a TV exactly. But it looked like food, right? And you were still like, you know, you might have the greatest food. Exactly. But it looked like food. Exactly. And now I feel like you're gonna go buy one of those in the store and pop it open. Like, I don't even know what this is. Like, is this even food? Like, how much of this is even food? That if I left it out, would spoil. Yeah, 6 hours. You know, and it never be enough. It wouldn't at all. When we were growing up, though, if you did, it was like, you gotta eat this or it's gonna go bad. This, if you could leave it out, like, you would just correspond. I think it's all fine. What's that? I think they're both horrible. There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
It's like one-word answer.
That's so cute.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's son in the film.
By a lot of land. This is my own fault for asking close-ended questions. I mean, like,
one of the little younger actors in the last.
never have
I expect this little man.
I know, sometimes that's the opposite extreme when they're like weirdly polished stage children.
Like, milk itself is like probably pretty beneficial in some ways, but in other like implementation of it, you know, it's like heat it up and then take the fat out and then probably actually tastes like sort of like, yeah, it was like this, not good for you at all. But if you get like raw milk, I think it's good.
Yeah, well, you know, I went to Ian Murphy's one where he was so not into the film he didn't even show for his own. Oh no, sometimes I feel it on like days or something. He just didn't even care enough about the movie.
I always
Lucas goes, how many interviews so far? Decent amount of B-roll, I wrote none. 0.
I don't even need a mic rack. Don't even need a mic rack. Please, somebody show up. No, it's going to be one big rush. Yeah. It'll be one big cluster.
That's already. Put your mics together. You know it's gonna happen. You know it's gonna happen.
It's okay.
Who's gonna be the last one to show? Vigo?
No, Vigo's pretty good.
He seems like he's responsible. He would come.
Yeah, he's pretty responsible.
Maybe Ron Howard.
You're right. You're right.
They're all. Colin's a little.
You're right. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
Maybe Ron Howard would be the last.
No. Ron's gonna come do this. He's gonna take care of business.
Yeah, he's here to sell.
Him and Brian.
I've been getting random texts like,
Yeah, they're gonna be here arm in arm.
It's me, and it's gonna be a picture of like me.
But what's weird is nobody wants to be early.
I just like, no, leave me alone.
Well, they're supposed to start. The movie starts at 7, so they say. But it won't start till 7.
That's what I don't understand.
Some do, yeah.
I'm in deep conversation.
You get the little elbow tap.
That's they're trying to convince
As they're on their phone.
Yeah. Tap.
And then they go stand in your shot.
Oh, that's. You guys, you and Rick and I feel like,
Oh yeah, they keep just getting. They know they're in the shot. They know they are.
it's always the group shot too, right? It's like,
No, it's just the other day we're doing a one-on-one and she's like just in the shot.
Played by Vigo, yeah.
BCV?
No,
Well, that's
it's the guy. It's the real guy.
this is a real.
He's a real guy.
Dave, I will now.
Oh, will you?
Now I shall. Listen.
Is this Rick? Is Rick Stanton? Okay, now we can warm up Rick.
Both are trying to film, but then the other one, the other kid was going back to the house he lived in. They had like KFC waiting for him. It was, yeah, very interesting. And they did like this ritual for him when he came home. And he was on that thing, and they bind
He went
it.
from my edit.
Yeah, it was very interesting. This was the raw pork they tried to feed me on.
Got it, yeah. Yep. Cans. I know. We're gonna make some money. We're gonna I'm getting at least $1.
Oh, my God.
That's good. I'll bother you with a real people.
Yeah, don't be afraid to. Right here's in the way.
Hey, Photog, we need our shots too.
Shouts.
Excuse me, photographer, can we come back a little bit for video?
Yeah.
You get your shot, but we just want to make sure we get it too.
Can you hear me? They're yelling. Everyone's COVID brain.
Rick, just looking at us one time. Rick.
Can you step forward?
And Rick, look at this camera on the end. There we go.
Straight ahead, right here. Quick loss to me.
And Rick, one more time on this.
Look at Stewart.
And one time on this.
Yeah. That was good for me too. Yeah.
I'll be in your way most of the night.
Only if he knows who Stewart is.
Everybody knows who Stewart is. Not him.
Just trying to make Stewart feel good. Straight ahead one time, good smile. All right, I'm all done.
It's silent. White turtleneck. That's a faux pas.
Oh, wait a second.
Hey, I'm Will. Nice to meet you. Hi. Give us 1 second.
We have a few right here.
All right.
Yeah, looking right here, straight ahead for a couple last ones.
Set it up. Vigo essentially plays music, right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I'd say he plays better than me than I do.
I doubt that very much.
Well, if he didn't, then I would have been the important actor in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, right? What's it like for you to watch him play?
Look, I mean, the event happened 4 years ago. It was a fantastic.
All good?
Expect
All good?
It's a celebration of what happened. And, you know, there was one unfortunate circumstance. Why not celebrate such a fantastic achievement?
I'm pretty massive.
Completely, from our point of view, yes.
What was it like when Ron
Yes, it's kind of nice that it's going to slow for that purpose. At the end.
might want you to talk to him about what it was like coaching him?
Well, actually, process happened before
I'm ready.
we signed up to producers. We engaged with the script researchers and script writers. It was only at that point when they had our writers and the script that they went to Hollywood. Then Ron Howard came on board. So that was fantastic. We didn't have a good story to get. So when he came on board, that was fantastic. Because one day, Ron rang me up and said, "I'm not an actor to play me."
Yeah.
We're all lockdown, so nobody was doing anything. Vigo was stuck at his house, I was stuck at mine, so we spent hours chatting. Yes, I was on set for most of the days I was filming, like 50 out of the 60, so I was a technical advisor advising on some of the scenery, mainly like training Vigo and following how to sort of dive out, diving very esoteric, so diving, moving like us, and some of the little nuances, so they looked like they had 40 years of cave diving experience.
Did you get
as far as I'm concerned, every cave looks like the other. But to answer your question, the set on the entrance to the cave captain, the chaos and the people cooking and the army and everything going on, that was so realistic. That did really take me back to what it was like.
Do you keep in touch with any of the boys that you guys?
So there's one of the boys, the one that spoke English, Adun. He, on the back of that, he got a scholarship to New York School, and I have met him and I have occasionally spoken to him, yes.
Yeah, he's doing well?
He's doing very well, yes.
Congratulations. Yeah, fun tonight.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cheers.
This is United Artists.
Hi there.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
I mean, what an incredible story. How does it feel to see this story told in a theatrical way like this film is doing?
Well, it's really good. Some of the, I think that what Ron's done with the diving scenes, what the actors have done, it's incredibly realistic. The noises, the sound engineering is fantastic. That brings the diving back completely. But it's the sort of cave entrance sets that really brings the drama and the emotion and the tension of what was going on, chaos of what was going on.
Talk about having Vigo portray you in this film. Would this be a guy that you would have picked if you had casting? Or
Well, he wasn't top of my list, but he was. I think he was in a short list. Yes. I think it was actually, with hindsight, I think it was a brilliant decision. I know who cast him, so I think it was a really good one. We got on exceptionally well from the first moment, and he slowly sort of assimilated my characters as we went along on these Zoom calls.
You're happy with the portrayal?
Oh yeah.
These guys that are walking.
Sorry, we're going to do a big
shot of the divers.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Grab Rich. No problem. These two guys.
We'll be back.
Right there. Right there. Right there.
Divers Unite. No, and she needs to be there to get in our way.
Okay, guys, we're not very good at it. And then start from here. You go down. This point.
Gentlemen, everybody to your right.
Guys, all together.
Photog.
Guys, right here on your right side.
Sorry, man. I'm always in it. Oh, is that him? Oh. Bring him down.
Step down about 10 steps. This way one time.
Come on now, guys.
Come up, wherever you want. Just right up there next to you.
Real tight together, real tight.
To your right side.
Stewart.
To the right. Take the handcuffs off.
Hey, just one time look at the end. One time on the end. There we go. I love it.
To your right side, right here, over to the right. Looking good, very nice.
Can we get you in front of the post?
Great. Do we have a solo?
Wait, in front of the post.
I just want to make sure if I needed to be in there.
Okay, just one last question. Thank you.
Interested in film? Thank you. They're actually touched on some
What do you really hope for the audience real, very real story?
Well, there's two things from a personal point of view. We were involved in it very much hands-on, and in a way we made it look too easy. Every day we'd go in, 4 or 5 boys would come out, and nobody really engaged or knew what we went through and how we did it. So I'm really pleased that people get to see that. But of course, on a wider picture, there were 5,000 people there, of which we were just a handful, all working together in adversity to achieve a positive outcome. So but it always happens in adversity, never in normal times.
I have to ask if you're not sort of associated with this, or I mean, because I could imagine watching, you know.
Well, I don't think it's personal. We're all very pragmatic people, but from a personal point of view, it was all a massive success. I don't think there's any PTSD for us to experience. If you asked another question, when I returned home, I had used up all my thinking power for the whole 2 months, and I couldn't make any decisions. But that's a different thing altogether. Thank you. Thank you. Hi. Very good. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. I wanted to ask you, there have been documentaries about this film, about this event. There's now this film, we have a Netflix series coming out. How do you trust who to share this story with that hits so close to home and is so personal?
So we were involved in the documentary, and we've been involved in this right from the very start. So we shared our story with the script writers for 13 Lives, or the script researchers and the script writers. And then we've been on set as technical advisors to make sure it's as authentic as it could be.
And then in terms of having to relive these events over and over again, you're having to remember details, you're having to almost even tap into what could have been a traumatic experience. What is that like for you to have to tap back into that?
That's one thing I've written books, so I can always refer to that if I need to. Look, it was a fantastic feel-good event at the end of the day. We didn't predict that, but it was, and so I'm quite happy to keep revisiting it. It's in a way of a celebration for the whole event.
I love that. That's so true. And then, in your opinion, how much of what actually happened, amongst those 10 days, actually made it into this film?
Could you just say that again? How much of
what actually happened made it into the film?
Oh look, it's such a massive story, the real thing. The film would be a week long if you had to try and encompass all that happened. This is a real snapshot of the sort of essential things, and reduced in time frame to as short as possible, just to make it all fit. But you can't put everyone 5,000 people there. Everyone did something. Everyone had their own version of events.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Rick, we're going to bring you back over to Jerry?
And then we'll have him.
Clear. No, sir.
Shannon, we need this to forget what
We're here for
directly in front of you.
shoot down.
So sorry. 3 seconds, I'll be done with Ron. Right there, hold that Ron last one. Mr. Howard, right here. Forward. Hold it right there. Hold it right there.
Right here.
white jacket, get him.
Stewart, let me get my shot, Stewart.
Excuse me.
Excuse us. We're working here. Jesus, really?
Hey, how you doing? I'm Will. Will, nice meeting you. My name's Stu.
Wait, just right there.
One more time. Excuse me. Perfect. And sir, directly in front of you.
Let's start with the house crew and flip after. Hi,
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
For you, why did you think it would make an amazing story to tell theatrically?
I thought the timing was perfect for the story. I also thought that it was going to be challenging. But I thought the combination of these themes, of what they represent, and the sort of visual suspense of a story like this made it a really good movie opportunity for me as a director, and I thought for audiences as well.
Yeah, I mean, it touched on so many different emotions watching this film. What do you really hope the audience sort of takes away?
I hope they make an emotional connection with, the various brands of courage and heroism on display. It's not just the divers. This really was thousands of people, and it was.
Is there sort of a caricature of essential?
There is one of the Thai actors, but he hasn't made his way down
Do you
yet.
think that there's details in this film that the audiences will be kind of an eye-opening thing?
Oh, definitely, for sure. And I've watched it 3 times, and I'm still picking up details. So I'm, looking forward to seeing it full time.
Collaborate with the real life divers and people who had been involved with
Going all the way back to Apollo 13, I just realized that part of the entertainment value of like this is authenticity. And audiences can kind of smell it. I've seen it. You can jump online and double check it and send it to you. And so, part of your promise to the audience is, we're going to collapse the story, we're going to make it very watchable and exciting and emotional and engaging. But the foundations and the specifics of this are going to ring true. It's going to offer you a sense of
My friend
and the underwater stuff. Just kind of any challenge that way.
any challenge.
I mean, what?
It's so many challenges that you go on. But it was demanding once the actors, led by Big Morton,
This guy in the black jacket.
Yeah.
He was one of the key talent on the Thai side.
We have to do all the diving. This is such a specific technique. You gotta see it. It's like part of our characters that we get this right. Well, this was so liberating for me and great for audiences because the way the shots unfold, it's so mesmerizing. And then you realize this is them. This is them in these places.
How are you?
How are you?
Thank you. I wanted to ask you, what was,
Stand by.
not yet? All good.
It's okay.
And your handkerchief.
I was struggling with it a little bit. I didn't know how to put it in.
It's amazing. What was it like for you when you first heard the news about what had happened to the boys?
Oh, it's I can't believe it. I mean, it's 13 boys stuck in there. I mean, we didn't really know how they were gonna get them out, and at first, well, after it went on for like a week, it was like, they're gonna come out, and for them to be able to come out after like almost 18 days. It's incredible. And everybody was stuck to the screen. All the Thai people are watching it everywhere. It's on the news all the time, 24 hours a day.
Is it almost like you could sense this like unity amongst like a large country?
Yeah, I mean, I believe it was 17 countries that volunteered, and Thai people as well. There were farmers who would give up their crops for the whole year to let the water be diverted and flood their field, and it's a big thing for Thailand.
What does it mean?
And it means a lot for us Thai people, for everybody to come in and try to help and put this effort together and save the boys.
And what does it mean to you to be a part of this film?
It means a whole lot. It means a whole lot. It's a story that happened in Thailand, but I believe it's a story that belongs to the world, and in the world we live in now, I think it's important to tell these kind of stories. A story that gives people hope and let people know that if you throw your differences aside, put your minds together, anything is possible.
And then in terms of like to your character, portraying someone who isn't just something that someone made up on
Right.
a script, it's a real life person. What work did you take to really prep for that role?
Well, my character, his name is Dr. Khan. He's based on a real life hero, and one of the many real life heroes in the story, and it's important that I keep the spirits of this character alive in there in that cave. He's basically a doctor that helps the kids to make them feel good, to uplift them throughout the time there. And basically I just keep that in mind, and I just did what Ron wanted me to do inside there.
I saw it. You did a great job. So thank you.
Really?
Yeah,
You saw it?
I did.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It was amazing.
Can you recognize me without with my hair?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any hair in there. I was just bald. Yeah.
You got to let the hair out, let the people know, right?
Yeah.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Hi. Nice meeting you.
Okay, great. Thank you. I've heard some of your fellow castmates say that the filming of the rescue was just incredibly challenging, and some of them were very claustrophobic. And what was your experience like filming this?
Well, I felt all of that. I had those feelings, claustrophobic as well, and I'm not sure what you call it, but then we had to do the real dive. All of us in there had to.
Let's get these guys on the carpet. The guy in the white jacket.
Never been.
Just one. I should have used singular.
Love to. Dad's documentary is so real that crap, but that's on magic. You know, the
Right side, sir. Yeah, right side.
really
No. We just get a B-roll of him.
Sorry. Ryan.
I need to get Ron.
Excuse me. Excuse us. We're working.
Excuse me. Did you get Ron yet?
I know, not yet.
Okay. Oh, he's over here. Okay. I miss Brian Fraser. Love him. Okay, why is everybody so aggressive tonight? What's happening? So if you are still free after their next interview, do you mind if I pop back over? Please. I'll keep watching.
Yeah, please do.
Yes.
We're going to stop at AP first.
Hello, how are you?
Hi,
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
That's the film this year. It was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
You see all the detail that went into every single scene. I wanted to ask you, this is something almost, you're a documentarian, you're a filmmaker in so many different aspects, but how do you go about Stuart, if you in terms of being someone who's from the outside looking in? You've done Apollo 13, you've done this, you've done it.
I really use the fact that I'm not an expert in the field to my advantage, because I'm very curious. So I just pursue that. I look at it, I see what fascinates me, what moves me, and I try to share that with audiences.
And I know that there was skepticism with this film in terms of critics and some audiences where a lot of real-life events and narratives often have a white face trope to them. There's not much emphasis on the community. What research went into it for you yourself, and were you sensitive to that when directing this film?
Well, I was sensitive to it, concerned about it. I recognized it. I recognized it as a challenge, and I also just felt that my sense of what this story could be was about a celebration of the international effort, and that certainly included people other than the foreigners coming in, and it was important to me to also recognize what I began to learn, which was, quite frankly, the Thai government did a stellar job of never losing their focus, never giving up their sort of authority or leadership, but setting pride aside, opening the doors of possibility to those who could come in and offer some expertise, and yet they constantly made the decision, they made the choices. So it was great leadership.
And you filmed a lot of this remotely in Australia. But you filmed in Australia, but also directed remotely.
Remotely.
To myself.
Yes.
What was that experience like? Is that something that you've done before?
No, I was less. It was COVID. COVID required. Less than ideal, and it robbed me of one of the reasons I wanted to do the project which was to spend a lot of time in Thailand. So I didn't get to spend a lot of time. Someday I will.
And then water is almost the main antagonist, in my opinion, in this film. Did that play into a lot of the cave design and just almost the intensity that you feel while watching this?
Well, I felt like going into those caves was almost like entering, a haunted house. The caves are thought by locals to be practically alive, with purpose. So it was a little bit of a cousin to what I tried to do with the fire in the movie Backdraft, where sometimes these elements can, they take on such energy and such power that it's hard for us humans not to think of them as sentient.
It really was. I was trying to think of a villain while watching it, and I was like, it's
it is.
Yeah. You did such a beautiful job. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Who are the greats? Oh, the greats, Chris. Not to interview. Not to interview. You got B-roll of him though, right? Okay.
Oh. All these people.
Glad jacket.
Ridiculous. I'm gonna get some pollen B-roll.
Who's this? Who's that? Why is that in the way? Get it and move.
There we go. This is a good teaser.
The woman in the white is also one of the Thai actors. And Joel Edgerton just arrived in the gray suit.
Who's the girl? Stewart!
Stewart.
Excuse me! On the carpet!
Excuse us. We're trying to work here.
We're going to start an interview once you're ready.
So we have Connor, Vernon, and Josh.
Okay, I got singles of 2 of the 4.
Give me 1 second. We're just going to get situated. Hey, Jeff. We got the real divers down here with me.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Yeah. 1 second.
Hit me.
All good? Tell me when you're good.
Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for chatting with us. I wanted to know what was running through your mind when you got that call to go down to Thailand to, help and rescue
I wasn't there quite as early as Vern, who was there from day one, but I was on holiday at the time in Italy up a mountain, and I got the call, and the first thing that ran through my mind was just, how am I going to get there fast enough? But fortunately, we had people at home in the British Cave Rescue Council who were incredibly good at just organising all of the travel and logistics to get us in the right place at the right time. Big shout outs to people like Emma and BCRC, who just did a fantastic job, and without them I think we'd have really struggled. But that was the first thing that went through my mind, was not only the magnitude of the situation and what's involved with it, but also just how am I going to get there.
And then Vernon, you essentially recommended, according to the film, recommended Richard, recommended the other divers. Was it, had you worked with them before? They were close friends of yours. What was it about them that said, I want to put these 2 guys together?
Well, I've been sort of living out in Thailand for 10 years now, but I've been caving for a long time. And caving's a very close-knit community, and you know of people. You know what their experiences are. So I scribbled a note out very early on I think it was the 25th, the morning of the 25th, and handed it to my partner and basically said, if anything happens to me whilst I'm in the cave, make sure people get this message. So it was great that these guys were able to get out. It was logistically, it was a great operation when you think about it. I didn't see much of these guys, to be quite honest, and they probably didn't see much of me. So we were totally focused. These guys were brought over to do a job, totally focused, and I think they were there. I think you were there for 4 days in total, weren't you? But they never saw anything but the inside of a dark river cave. They didn't see very much of Thailand at all. So, but Josh has been out since, so he's seen the innards of the cave.
I've I am honestly
So I think the fact that we were innocent, so we knew that they were still alive. The world knew that they were still alive, and that was the terrifying thing. That they were still alive, but they're there. We can't see them. We don't know. So are we all having a conversation during the moment that they're dying? That was constantly the subconscious, I think, playing. You know, so it was a very real-time thing that we all went through watching this take place. There was a fatality on the Thai side, one of the Thai divers, Salmon. But the team and the coach that had live was really exciting. I couldn't get it. The more I read about it, I should have become used to the fact. I should have seen why. Well, now it makes sense. Now that I'm researching it, I see how it could. Hopefully, man, yeah. No, I'm starting to feel for Apple and sugar. That no, God, but I'd say Matt's up to the bollocks, you know, hovering over the people and just planning the story because he's just so meticulous and so obsessive. But he's all over Penguin as well. He's not directing the structure of the scripts and direction, so it's exciting. Oh my God, I'm so happy, man. So much fun. I've been around the block, man. That was an easy sport. I mean, it was just such a joy. And I'm seeing it at my work. As I said, I never had less opportunity for how hard I played. I really can't. Maybe 49-51 in his favour. There we go, John.
I lost him. I had him, but I lost him. Yeah, he's coming on over. Don't move for this one.
Hey, how are you? Good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I watched it last night. I'm joking with you. I'm joking.
What do you really hope the audience
The audience feels relief by the end of it. So many people all around the world live in greater and lesser degrees of tension and stress. So to be able to see a story that ended,
we're gonna lose Joel because I'm gonna have to get
and it not be kind of a function of the imagination of Hollywood or Hollywood's desire to please the audience. It actually was the way it finished. A life was lost. Thai Navy SEAL diver Salman lost his life in the midst of an act of incredible bravery because he wasn't even with the SEALs anymore. He came back and signed up just to help rescue the children. It was extraordinary what he did, but he unfortunately passed. But to have the 12 children and the coach get out of what was an impossible situation. So people are relieved at the end of the event, and also just, it is kind of a beautiful story because there is, as we all know, so much separation and division, and everyone hates everyone now. It's so boring, it's so worrisome. You know, we're all looking for lines of what makes us different rather than looking for the things that we have, the shared experience, the shared belief.
Hello.
You know.
Good.
And so
how are you?
This was a time when we did say there were tensions during this rescue mission.
Thank you.
You know, we are by nature humans. We're conflicting and we're tribal and but look, people came together, they really did. Cultures, nations came together.
Oh look, I'd seen countless footage of Harry's interviews, you know, post the rescue, and he's a bit of a national hero, but I think he's a bit of an international hero as well. Incredibly kind, skilled, and genuinely good individual, and the chance for me to participate in a film that reminds us that when, you know, human beings all get together despite the lines that sort of divide us otherwise, to sort of help others, great things can happen. And Harry really typified that to me, and the chance to play him in a movie was like such a dream, particularly under the guidance of Ron.
And did you get a chance
situations and parts of the cave that were very, very tight?
Well, someone would like drift down from above and attack me. Look, it's a very complicated conversation about access to human rights and not human rights, human beings' life rights. I had access to Harry's book. I had access to lots of interviews about Harry, but Harry wasn't necessarily like on the ground in this production like Rick Stanton and John Blanton and Jason Mallinson were on this. But I had access to lots of information about him, and since the production, Harry and I have become pretty close. Not yet. He did see a photo of us, of me playing him, and I heard that he said, in quotes, "We are a pretty good-looking bloke," which is also a sign of Harry's good sense of humour.
And you can see that in the film. And I wanted to ask you one last question. There's a lot of often skepticism with real.
No, to be honest, I think a lot of them, I know a lot of them like the isolation, a lot of them like the
How do you feel
exploratory
that,
aspect of it. There are so many
avoid that
thousands and thousands of miles of uncharted caves.
I'll say a few things about that. One is, the focus of this film is about the rescue effort. Which there's no avoiding certain aspects. If you look at certain points of view, particularly about the divers, a lot of that had to do with British and Australian cave divers, along with Navy SEALs from Thailand. But particularly some of the key ideas for the rescue came from British guys, and there's no avoiding that. But I think Ron's done a great job of making a movie that condenses like a month of newsworthy kind of information into a distilled film that doesn't just focus on Vigo as Rick and Colin as John and myself as Harry and the other kind of white, quote unquote, white guys that were rescue divers, but paints or sews a greater tapestry of the heroic effort that could not have been possible without an entire multicultural event led by the Thai government and everybody involved. I'm getting an under the ground tickle here. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been easy.
The buddy system.
Yeah. I don't giggle like that with anybody. I think he's done a good job of creating an ensemble, multi-point of view look at a rescue effort that could not have been possible without an entire kind of collaborative effort. And I think that's sort of the underlying message of the film, is like, when we all need to, and when it's asked of us as a human race, it's amazing what's possible. And we forget ourselves, and we forget certain other borders that divide us in order to make something happen to help our fellow human beings. And I think this film really kind of sums that up. Thank you.
If I want to seem like Rick Stanton, I wouldn't be breathing that much. So, but we had also anxiety.
I'm sorry, I am going to pull you. There's about 3 minutes before we have to go.
Pleasure talking to you.
Nice talking to you. Here, we're trying.
Okay. I got it. It's going to be good.
But I also communicated a lot, because of the pandemic. I couldn't go see him. I did meet him once in England, but we Zoomed. We did, dozens and dozens, many hours, I don't know how many hours, of Zooms together, where I just asked him everything about that experience, just about his career, techniques for diving. He's the one that turned me on.
Yeah, I didn't time it right.
Some people in northern Spain, or the mountains, or the cave diving, he said, you should go try it. I said, I don't know if I want to do it, but I'd like to see the caves. He goes, well, you should, because the rock is the same. I ended up diving with him, and that was helpful. Yeah, he was great, but above all, Ron Howard, he's such a good actor's director. Just a nice guy, but a really intelligent director.
divers. Thank you. I know they want to put you for a photo. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Everybody right here, straight ahead. Should have a football. Does anyone have a football?
All right, having a good time.
Get the cast out, please.
Off the carpet!
Friendly. There you go, boys.
Very nice, very nice. Having a good time.
Good job, everybody. Thank you. Okay, next.
Brawley.
Where am I going?
Hey, how are you? I'm Tom. I'm good.
Hi, how's it going?
What's your name?
Leslie. Hi. Give me 1 second while we just set up this shot real quick. Is this it?
Yeah, I think what they take away is what I took away.
Awesome. Yeah, the outfit.
Very cool.
The outfit is amazing.
It's only the second time I've worn it. I wore it once for the premiere of The Return of the King, which is a movie about a collective effort of races coming together. Same kind of story.
Thank you so much for chatting with us. I really appreciate it. I wanted to ask you, they brought to life this cave out in Australia on the set. The production designer really went in deep. How was it for you to go through these different tunnels? I know that you did your own stunts. You often at times did you feel claustrophobic? What was that like for you to really be in that mindset?
Once in a while I felt claustrophobic. I think everybody did. Even the real divers, Rick Stanton, the guy I play, and the others said, there are moments of nervousness and fear always, but he turned me on to some people before the shoot. I went into the mountains in Spain. It was wintertime, so the water was colder, but I went into some caves. They were very similar, the spaces and the rock and everything. And so I had some experience before going, but it still was nerve-wracking sometimes. Some of those more narrow spaces where you literally couldn't fit without taking your tanks off. And then when we started having to take the kids, it's one thing to dive yourself and be scared, But if you're responsible for another human being, then you get really nervous. You know, you don't want to mess up. You don't want to bump their head or bump their mask, because if water goes in, you can drown very fast. You know, and their hands are tied. And I mean, I just was like constantly looking at the kid. Is he still breathing? Is he still breathing? And so yeah, it felt like a big responsibility.
I mean, and you did such a good job.
Yeah, I did too. Colin, there was a few moments where Colin and I hold each other.
Talking to him, seeing his mannerisms, you really had that down. I know you obviously said you did what you needed to do to prepare for the case. So what did you do to prepare to play Richard?
We did. I don't know. I don't know how many hours. Many, like countless Zooms together. That sometimes it would be an hour, 2 hours more. Where I just listened to him, and I recorded them so I could listen again. But it's just to get information about this whole experience in Thailand, but also his career, how he started doing this, and why he would put himself through that just for fun, which is what they do. I'm like, you guys are nuts. It's like people would jump out of planes. I mean, I don't get it. It's like the plane's working fine. You don't have to jump out, man. It's like that cave's gonna be all right. You don't have to go down there. But no, and they've rescued lots of people, and they've also retrieved, unfortunately, which is what they thought they were going to do here, dead people. And yeah, it was. I was really pleased when I saw yesterday the finished movie, because I mean, visually and sound-wise, the way Ron told the story, it feels really real. And all the divers, like Rick, I don't know, he may have said that to you, it felt like their experience, and it felt like the diving was true to what they did. And it's a great experience on a big screen. So I do hope that people can go see it in the limited window that is in theaters, because that's the way to see it.
I'm gonna have just one last quick question for you. Have you been able to see the Lord of the Rings series trailer, and do you have any thoughts?
No, I haven't seen it.
Do you have any well wishes for the cast?
Of course. Yeah, I don't know them, but yeah, I wish them luck. Sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I rolled on the ground. I was in a very tight space, and it just shut off my tank. I had another tank, but I remember my training said, don't panic, take the other mouthpiece, and you'll be okay. But when you panic, sometimes you freeze, and you don't, especially in a situation like that. So yeah, I was the other guys, I tell you, the other actors also experienced got stuck, and you just have to breathe, think calmly, how we are trained. You have to take your tanks off to push them through this narrow space while not losing your grip, and then dive through and put the tanks back on, so be it. With the kids sometimes, there were places where you couldn't get through, and you have to push the kid ahead. Don't let go of them, hand to the foot, so you snuggle through. There was a lot of things that were different. At the end of each day, it wasn't just the physical effort of diving and swimming all day, but it was that.
Then I'm in trouble.
And that's just the point. And that's happening right now. I think so. I can't wait to see. Thank you. Hello. I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, I watched this last.
This is the last thing we need, right, Jeff?
Touches on so many different emotions. But what do you hope the audience sort of, because this is a story that many people know, many people followed very intensely, but it feels very different watching it on the big screen. What do you hope the audience leaves or takes away from it?
Oh, look, I think I'd hope that audiences take away the same thing that was the reason that I got involved, which was, even if we hadn't been through what we're going through right now, the idea that there's a story that was true, that had a positive outcome, that was such a reminder that as humans, when we all get together and forget ourselves and forget our kind of divisions, that we're capable of doing incredible things and putting our brains and our acumen to solving incredibly, seemingly impossible. And this story is a reminder of that. Like I said, even if we hadn't been
and I think that inspired Ron too. So the emotional truth of it.
Really wanted to be involved, but he's just knowing there was an Australian who played a key role. Congratulations on the film.
Why not? We're in the best hands. Go with these guys. Very thoughtful.
I liked chatting with him.
And I
If I talk to Joel, could you get a shot of this since you're done?
If I'm not, I have Colin.
Oh, you got Colin.
I went to go fight for him.
Okay. Well, we'll play.
Yeah, I got you. Did you get your photo with Colin?
Yeah, like.
Okay. Give me one more.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it. I'm determined.
The planet.
You think if we stand right next to them?
Throws up the roots.
Oh, you are tethered.
Here.
Here, let me take this. There you go.
Sorry, just.
This is the narrative. Wait, I'm gonna.
Yeah, it'll be quick. One's better than none.
Just curious.
No, you're good. Did you get your okay?
We're going to do one right here, but Ron's going to have to bail.
Hi, Colin. Hi. Just one quick question. Hi, what was it like for you? Oh, let me set up. All set?
Yeah, me.
Awesome. What was it like for you to be?
Blame on you.
I was a blame on me to be a part of this film and to play, a real life hero.
If you're going to pull her in, man, make sure you're not, finish the job and make sure she doesn't hit her head off the camera, brother. No worries. Sorry, what was the question?
What was it like for you to play a real life hero in this film, and what work went into it?
It was nerve-wracking because I'd never played. I played one character before in my past that existed a long time ago through the mists of time, and I kind of got battered for that. So this is the second time I played a character that exists, and to play someone who's actually still living. There was a sense of burden and a sense of responsibility, but also ultimately it was an honour to play John. And John Valanthan, who I played, was incredibly generous with his time. He was always there to text. We had FaceTimes together and really good conversations. And he was very open with me and very willing to just share his experiences and his thoughts and, personal, some personal stuff and just how the events that took place in this story that we're telling played on his mind and on his heart as he experienced what he experienced. So it was awesome to have him there,
You did a beautiful job.
Thanks a million.
I wanted to ask you one short question.
Yeah.
What are you looking most forward to with the new HBO Penguin series?
Oh, I don't know, more of the same, because I only got a taste of it on the Batman film. There was 5 or 6 scenes or something, and I had so much fun. So just to open it up more and dig in a little bit,
We're excited to see it. Thank you so much. Thank you. You did it. Thank you for pushing me to do it.
We had 2 babies at once. Yeah, they call it twins. French call it close your eyes. So I guess first choice of the land. Boy and a girl. Very much so.
Yeah, we're good.
Or in this case, territory, not to run an election, just to help 13 people, 10 minutes, or just anymore. Even in Thailand, just north of Thailand, it's a great example of the way things can be. People think in a good way, as opposed to the way most people only think that way.
I watched he's a great the point where on great story things I don't want to go. Games are just in my hand. Two like big things back to back. Yeah. So right. There were days that were too, man. There's some of the areas where we're very tight to swim. I did do a little bit of, I got a little experience to extend some guys through some occasions before we went. The film in the moment.
Nailed it. That's right. I'm on the board. We're just all over.
Ron's still doing
We're starting tomorrow.
You know, you're always on home.
Most films. I don't mean to be a pain in the ass, but tie, give it a set of characters and a story.
Huh? Well, that's why I said to him, I was like, I would love to talk more with you about, like, what it is, like, what specifically, you know, like, what the role serves, and if you just never okay.